Let's get into the 6 reasons why. Oh my God, why? What? Let's try that again. This is the BS4 podcast, and I'm your host, Bria Villa. Hi, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of the BS4 podcast. I'm your host, Bria Villa. Baby, this is not an easy topic because when I read this, I have never felt so attacked in my life. I have never felt so attacked. I said, oh, no, it can't be. It couldn't be. Me? Today we're talking about 6 reasons why high achieving women attract emotionally unavailable men. Gasp. Gasp in Spanish. I'm not kidding though. All 6 of these reasons are so valid and so real. And I am talking from very personal experience because I have historically, unfortunately, attracted very emotionally unavailable men. And it is so unfortunate because it has done a number on me. But I've come to realize that while I thought for a long time that all these men were the problem, while I thought that every single man who was emotionally unavailable and not ready and unable to commit to me and was a man child who needed to be taken care of, while I thought all of that was their problem, I realized that the common denominator was me, babes. And while, yes, a lot of those things are their problem, the issue is I'm also choosing them. Why am I doing that? Why was I doing that? We're not doing that anymore because we're aware now. But if I had to become aware, so do you. So if you are a woman, if you are high achieving, if you consistently pick men who are emotionally unavailable, who don't want to commit to you, who don't show up for you in the way that you want them to, who want you to be their mother, baby, this episode is for you. So you better buckle up. You better get ready for the ride because it is real. So today, the B is for boy bye. Boy bye, because after today, after this episode, you are going to become so self-aware as to why you choose these men that the next time a man that is emotionally unavailable, unwilling to commit, is a man-child, comes up to you and approaches you and wants to talk to you, you are going to say, boy, bye. Shut it down. You're done. Okay? But, baby, we got to talk about why you was picking them to begin with. Why I was too. And I have to give credit where it's due, right? So I found someone on TikTok. I found this post on TikTok, and when I read it, I was literally floored. I was like, oh my God, every single one of these is me. I felt like I needed to talk about it on this podcast. Obviously, I want to give credit to the person who posted this, whether this was their original thought or whether they just found this information and posted it. Either way, this is the source that I got it from. So Coca-Cola Girl 66 money sign on TikTok. Thank you, ma'am, because you really opened my eyes. And now I want to share it with the girlies and also give my own anecdotes, give my own thoughts as to what I learned. Without further ado, let's get into the 6 reasons why high achieving women pick emotionally unavailable men. Reason number 1. You are picking emotionally unavailable men because you are addicted to proving yourself. That might sting a little bit, but baby, you are addicted to proving yourself. This reigns so true for me because I have always been like this. If you listen to past episodes, I talk about me feeling the need to prove myself in multiple episodes in multiple ways. But your addiction to proving yourself isn't always your fault. Sometimes you're not even aware of the fact that you are addicted to proving yourself. And really, it stems from your emotional needs not being met when you were a kid or when you were younger or when you were growing up. And so you have learned and grown up thinking, if I do well enough, they'll see me and they won't leave. If I impress them, they will stay. If I go above and beyond, they'll appreciate me. And this is usually within familial relationships where you're doing that with parents, you're doing that with siblings. Typically, it's the relationship that you have with caregivers that this shows up the most. And so you've grown up learning, like, I have to do something, I have to prove myself in order to receive love, in order to have my emotional needs met, in order to be seen, in order for people to stick by me, in order for people to care about me. And so this is definitely something I experienced 100%. And this is why I have an addiction to proving myself. I feel like in every situation, and I think it's also something I learned growing up, and it's also something that society has taught me as I've started to evolve in my career, in academics, in society. Like, I have to prove myself to be valuable. You built your identity around proving love. You turned every relationship that you have into a proving game. Like, you have to prove yourself in order for people to love you. You have to prove yourself in order for people to stay. You are addicted to that because that's all you know. And it shows up with men because you are chasing men that you feel who make you feel like you have to prove yourself to them. You are chasing after men who make you feel like you have to win their love. You are confusing that little ounce of validation that they give you with your worth. And I'm guilty of this. I'm not someone who can sit here and point the finger. Every single one of these I'm guilty for. So let me just be clear about that on the front end. This is something I do. This is something I did, past tense. We're growing out of this. But I historically have chosen men that I feel like I need to prove myself. I have chosen men who have been emotionally unavailable and distant because I've always felt like I have to prove myself. And so to me, love was proving. To me, they could only love me if I show them that I'm a worthy woman, if I show them that I am valuable. And the reality is like, men should be trying to prove themselves to us. And I, for a long time, didn't realize that I was the prize. Like, I thought finding a good man was like the best thing that could happen, and didn't love myself enough. And so I'm here to tell you that you are addicted to proving yourself. Number 2, you are choosing emotionally unavailable men because you are used to doing the emotional labor. When you were younger, as a kid, you were praised for being strong. You were praised for being mature for your age. You were praised for being able to handle so many things. I literally talked to my dad about this once, and he was like, and all my parents, I have like 2 sets of parents. All my parents say, "You were so strong growing up. We never had to worry about you. You always had a good head on your shoulders. You always handled your emotions so well. You always handled everything so well. You were so strong. You were so mature for your age." I heard that all my life. And so because I grew up that way, I learned how to regulate other people's emotions around me, even at a very early age, and in turn regulate my emotions to match their emotions. So how this shapes you, in this post said, you have become the woman who anticipates needs before they are spoken. And that could not be more true. You anticipate needs before they're spoken. That makes you a rock in a lot of your relationships, at work, in life, but it makes you a rescuer in love. You feel like you need to save that man from his emotions, from his deficiencies, from the areas that he lacks. And so how it shows up is you overfunction in relationships. You carry the emotional load for yourself and for him. And it leads you to attracting men who haven't done the work for themselves, who don't know how to do the work for themselves, or sometimes who are unwilling to do the work for themselves because they want a woman to do it for them. And even if you make them aware, the issue is you've already set the precedent in your relationship of how you're going to show up for them. And so that would completely shift the dynamic of the two of you because you started off emotionally taking care of them and yourself. And so as they need to learn how to emotionally take care of themselves, they can only do one at a time, and so they likely won't be able to emotionally take care of you. And that is a hard pill to swallow, but that is the truth. You are used to doing the emotional labor. Reason number 3. You are choosing emotionally unavailable men because you are stuck in over masculine energy. In life, you have been rewarded for being in control. You have been rewarded or praised for staying calm, collected, and organized during chaos. Whether that's in your childhood, later, if you've adopted this role of becoming over independent because you have to take on so much and handle everything, you've now leaned into this over masculine energy. For example, if you never ask for help, if you're always the one to do it all, if you're the one who leads the charge, meaning you solve, you plan, you organize, even if it's not really your responsibility or your weight to carry, you are leaning so far into your masculine. And of course, those qualities are beautiful qualities. Everybody should have aspects of masculine and feminine, but you are leaning, you are overcorrecting, you are stretching yourself into the masculine because you've had to operate that way. But what that ends up doing in relationships is you attract men who fall back. You attract men who let you take the lead, and then you end up resenting them for it. But you don't know how to stop because this is how you've always operated. When I read this one really hit because I absolutely do that, or I have done that. Now I've been definitely working on my feminine. There's an episode that I talk about how to lean into your feminine energy. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend it. It was very helpful for me. It's been helpful for me to practice that. But it's so true. Like, I am so used to leading. I am so used to having to do everything. I am so used to making sure that every situation, everybody around me is good. I'm used to me having to do it or it doesn't get done, that now it's transpired to where I've chosen men who fall almost into that because I don't know how to be another way, or I didn't know how to be another way. And so you are choosing emotionally unavailable men because you are leaning too far into your masculine. You're leaning too much into your hyper independence. And really, a man is fulfilled when they feel like they have a role. A man is fulfilled when they feel like they have your respect. A real man. A real man is fulfilled when he feels like he is providing. And so when you play into this role of provider, of leader, of over masculine, you're attracting the men who aren't truly in that themselves. Tough pill to swallow. And that goes into the next one. Number 4, you are attracting unavailable men because you've forgotten how to receive. Baby, you were not taught to receive love without guilt or strings attached to it. Affection in your life has come conditionally. So when things are done for you, it's because you've earned them, not because you've rested in the fact that you deserve them regardless. And so you're leaning so far into, I have to do in order to receive, and you've forgotten how to receive freely. And this has really shown up for me because I have leaned into being powerful, not soft, being poised, not vulnerable, being confident and not sensitive. And so you're attracting those type of men because you don't know how to let someone support you. And unfortunately, the men that you're attracting don't know how to support you either, or they don't want to. And that is a painful truth. That is a really painful truth. Because we're such high functioning women, we have forgotten that there are things that we should be letting men do for us. I know that we are in the age of feminism. I know that we are in the age of women being able to do whatever. But I think the reality is men and women need each other. As much as we don't want to admit it, men and women need each other. And as much as we're like, okay, We don't really believe in gender roles, etc. For sure. I think roles in a relationship depend on the relationship. I also think that there's certain things that we should be able to let men do for us, like protect, like provide, like lead, because that is ingrained in the masculine. And so you've forgotten how to receive. The feminine is acceptance, the feminine is receiving. And we've forgotten how to sit in that. And so we're attracting these emotionally unavailable men because we've forgotten how to receive them doing the basic things that they should be doing for us. And so while there's men who certainly need to get it together and know how to provide for women, there's also us women who need to know how to let men do that and let men be men. And number 5, you are attracting emotionally unavailable men because you don't surrender because you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe enough to surrender. For you, you had to stay in control of your emotions, of your surroundings, to avoid disappointment, to avoid abandonment, to avoid having things fall apart. Being vulnerable for you wasn't safe. You couldn't afford to be vulnerable. This hits home for me because I have control issues. I am a control freak. I will admit that through and through. I have to control everything. I have always had to be that way because if I'm not, things won't get done. I'll be forgotten about. I'll be disappointed. Or at least that's what I've trained my brain to believe. And so I haven't felt safe enough to surrender. I haven't felt safe enough to let go of control. And that's shown up to where in life, I feel like letting go of control means I'm letting go of power. It means I'm putting myself in a vulnerable situation to get hurt. It means that I'm terrified of being disappointed. If I don't lead step by step or outline what needs to get done, it's not going to happen. And then it's going to hurt me. So it's shown up in my life because what ends up happening is I don't let someone in all the way. I don't fully surrender. I don't really give myself. I give maybe like a little bit, but not fully because I don't feel safe enough to. This is how it shows up. You attract men who don't hold space for you because you refuse to let anyone see what it's like behind that wall you put up, behind the armor that you're wearing. And so men are not holding space for you to feel safe because you're not willing to let go of control. When I read that, I was like, damn. That one's honestly one of the hardest ones to like wrap my head around because obviously safety to women is so important. But I also think in order for you to get emotional support and emotional availability, you have to be emotionally available. And that goes in to number 6. You're attracting emotionally unavailable men because you are not emotionally available to yourself. Not saying that you're not emotionally available to them, that may be a part of it, that may be a ripple effect, but you're not emotionally available to yourself. No one in your life has taught you attunement or has been a good example of attunement. You learned in your dynamics growing up that you need to set your emotions aside to keep the peace. That you need to push your emotions away in order for things to be okay. So you end up ignoring your emotions for the sake of keeping everything together externally. But internally, you're suppressing everything that you feel. And what it's turned into is you don't ask for what you need. You don't listen to the truth of how you're feeling and share it with the people around you. So it starts a war within yourself and you're having chaos internally for peace externally. What seems to be peace because it's excluding you from the equation. And this is one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now, personally. This is one of the biggest things that I'm like, I need to figure out how to share what I need, when I need it, how I need it, in a way that is honoring how I feel and truly showing up for myself emotionally. What ends up happening is you fall for men who do the same. They're emotionally distant, they're inconsistent, and they're unable to meet your depth. Because you're in this space of not owning and feeling your emotions and being emotionally unavailable to yourself, you attract men who are also emotionally unavailable. And so, recap, here are the 6 reasons why you are attracting emotionally unavailable men as a high achieving woman. You're addicted to proving yourself. You're used to doing the emotional labor. You're stuck in over masculine energy. You've forgotten how to receive. You don't surrender because you don't feel safe. And you're emotionally unavailable to yourself. Again, I got all of this information off of TikTok. Coca-Cola Girl 66 posted, but I have to thank her sincerely because this was very eye-opening for me and really good information for me to understand about myself that I honestly hadn't ever thought of before. I recognized that I was leaning into my masculine, but like the way that this was all broken down was just eye-opening for me. But I don't want to leave you with the wound open and not ways to resolve it. And so that was the post covering why this is happening, why high achieving women attract emotionally unavailable men. But I want to talk about how we as high achieving women can heal this, can move on from this, can do better. And so I wrote out a few things that we can do together to heal in this way, and even little red flags that we can notice in men to be really mindful of. For starters, I am not dating right now, very intentionally not dating right now, because this is something about myself that I really want to heal. And I'm being intentional about creating friendships first. And so I don't create friendships with the idea of, oh, this is going to turn into a relationship. I create friendships for the very basic reason of creating friendships, just to have a good relationship, period. I genuinely feel like my life partner, my soulmate, the person that I'm going to end up with, the man that I'm going to marry and is going to be my husband, will also be my best friend. But it doesn't mean that I'm going into these friendships hoping it's my husband. I'm just going into these friendships with wanting to create an authentic connection with somebody as a friend first. And I recommend doing this if you are someone who wants to be mindful and careful of these things, because you will take on a little bit less pressure, less responsibility, less emotional weight if you're going into it thinking, this person I'm just trying to be friends with. I'm just trying to understand at a friendship level. And I feel like it just takes off the pressure of the situation and allows for you to really understand who someone is. So I really recommend, if you are dating right now and things aren't working out and you keep choosing the same type of men, to try the route of friends only right now. Like, I'll get to know you as a friend, platonically. Okay? So I definitely recommend taking the friendship route. Another thing is letting love be earned by you, not from you. So showing up, trying to understand, do I like him or do I want him to like me? There's a big difference. Red flag that you can notice in this way off the bat is if at any point you feel like you have to convince him of who you are, convince him to do something, convince him to like you. If you feel like you're doing any level of convincing, you may be swaying into these patterns, into these habits of picking someone who's emotionally unavailable. If a man is emotionally available, if a man wants to truly get to know you, it will not take convincing. He just will. I want us together to take off the emotional backpack. I want us to take off carrying the weight of people's emotions for them. I want you to focus on how your emotions feel, how you're going to manage them without dimming them, dulling them, or completely ignoring them. Because if that is the case, it's going to be really hard for you to show up for someone else And if you're talking to someone and you're doing those things, it could be an indicator, red flag, that you feel like they're unable to hold space for you. Could go both ways. It might just be something that is like a wall that you have up that you have to break down, but it also could be because the person that you are with is not holding space for you and making you feel seen in that way, or because you feel like you're also managing their emotions. Let a grown man figure out how to manage his own emotions, okay? It's not your job. Figure out how to manage yours. That way you can show up as your best self, and let a man manage his so he can show up as his best self. Another trick that I'm doing right now is if I go to do something for someone else, obviously I'm not dating, but in this time period right before I stopped dating, I constantly put other people's needs before mine, especially a man's. And so something that I started to ask myself is, what did I do for myself first? So, like, if I was gonna go do something, it's like, okay, what am I doing for myself first, though? Is there something I needed to get done today? Is there something that I needed to share or get off my chest? Is there something that I need from him before I do this? Like, what do I need first? And then, sure, I can help take care of someone else, but what do I need for me first? It's a really good question to ask yourself and keep in mind in all relationships, but especially when it comes to dating. Also, something that we can work on together is practicing creating safety for us to surrender in little ways. It doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, now I'm fully trusting a man to do everything that a man is supposed to do and I totally relinquish all control. No, you can do it in small ways like, okay, like let him get the door for you, let him carry all the groceries, let him put in the effort to plan the date, let him ask you how you're doing, how you're feeling, what you need. Like instead of being the person to go first, instead of being the person who always does, practice in small ways to how to take a step back and just let a man lead. Okay? It's really helpful. And I practice this in friendship too. I was driving in the car with someone one day and I was like, "Oh, you're supposed to turn here." And he goes, "Yeah, I know where to turn. You didn't have to tell me." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. I'm going to let you lead. I'm going to let a man lead." And he was like, "Oh, I like that." And I was like, "Yeah." And that was a friend. Okay? Like that is not even someone that I'm dating. So, practicing in small ways how to let go of that control and create space for you to just be. Something that is not going to be easy, but is very important for us to heal in this way so that we don't attract emotionally unavailable men anymore is we need to up the standard. We need to up the standard, ladies, to where emotional availability is the bare minimum. Okay? Emotional availability from men is the bare minimum. Best way to figure this out, ask the uncomfortable questions up front. Ask them off the rip. If you are talking to someone, if you're feeling like, oh, like I'm kind of starting to feel this, like things are getting good, I'm starting to like him, you need to ask the uncomfortable questions up front. Understand how they would approach things. And maybe we can get into a whole other episode of what types of questions to ask men when you're first dating. That might be a really good one. But ask the hard questions up front and then ask yourself, do they actually have the capacity for this, or do they just have the potential? Ask yourself that. Whatever your answer is initially, I need you to trust your gut on that. So that way we're not making the same decisions, that way we're not choosing the same types of men, and that way we are healing and evolving and growing into women who attract emotionally available men because we are emotionally available ourselves. So I just want to say, you are not hard to love. You have just been loving in survival mode. Healing is letting go of the version of you that was fighting for crumbs, knowing damn well this version of you deserves the whole damn cake. So, if you are ready to stop proving, to stop shrinking, to stop chasing, and to stop fixing, this is your permission to choose different. These are the things that we now know about ourselves that we are going to heal from. Gone are the days where we are choosing emotionally unavailable men. Yes, this was a big eye opener for me. Not an easy realization, but something that I am working on, and I'm glad that we're working on it together. Send this to a friend who may need this. This was so eye opening for me. If I could share this with all the high functioning women I know who have chosen the same patterns as me, I would. Oh, wait, I will. I will, babe. I will send it to them because we all deserve to be freed from this. Gone are the days that we deal with these types of men. So, boy, bye. Boy, bye. If you meet a man who's emotionally unavailable, now that we know these things about ourselves, boy, bye. Stay safe. You are loved. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. I appreciate it. You know the deal. Do it all. I would love you forever. And make sure that you tune in next week. See you.